Hello there everyone, this is IronMark3 and welcome back to MechWarrior Online. Giant robot stompy shooty simulator. And many things go boom. That kind of sums it up. Except in this case because I don't have any ballistic weapons installed for once. Yeah, I really have become a big fan of ballistics. But anyway, for today's walk, I am actually dragging out a mech I've not brought into my videos before, though I have had these particular ones for quite a while. I've just not found much use for them. This is a Grasshopper, or in this case, the GHR-5H variant. So yeah, this is going to be a slightly odd one. And the Grasshopper is an odd mech. Do you guys remember my Black Knight videos? Yeah, my Black Knight videos where I commented about how it's one of the biggest heavies. Like, this is the Black Knight in question. And then if I go here, this is my Grasshopper. Look at that. The Grasshopper is a tiny bit taller. So, in truth, I was correct about the Black Knight, but the Grasshopper is, hands down, the tallest heavy mech in the game. And I mean it. The tallest. There are no heavy mechs taller than this thing. And it's not even a 75 tonner, it's a 70 tonner, so it's got less armour than the Black Knight as well. So, what can you do, eh? What can you do? On the bright side though, its weapon mounts are actually higher than the Black Knight, so there is that. But anyway, let's go ahead and stop comparing this thing to a previous mech, because this video is about this mech, the Grasshopper. And let's show you what I've done with it. Again, it's a slightly odd loadout by my standards, but then again, my standards for loadouts, that produces odd stuff half the time anyway, so as you do. Okay, this particular mech has an end of steel chassis, standard heatsinks, and standard armour. Upgrading to double heatsinks would probably be a really good idea because it's got the spare slots to do that. But it runs along at 57.9 kph, and it's got a single jump jet installed to give it 7.5 meters jump distance, so it's not going to be vaulting between buildings or anything like that, but it can peak up a little bit to help it maneuver or get up a steep slope or stuff like that. Primary weapons, this thing actually has two primary weapon groups. It has a pair of PPCs as its burst fire weapon, so they can do 20 raw damage. And if I quickly go into column mode, as you can see, the PPCs are mounted right here on the shoulders, so they are burst damage and peaking weapons as well. If you can see something, you can hit them with the PPCs because they are right there on your shoulders. Though something I must point out with the Grasshopper is, these are the other torso mounts here, down here. So if I go back to expanded mode, the first weapon you put in winds up on the waist, the second one winds up on the shoulder. So you've got to have something else in there with the weapons you want up on the shoulders for that to actually work. The second group is my brawling weapon group. In this case, a large pulse laser in the center torso. So yes, this mech can zombie if it loses both of the side torsos. And they are backed up by a pair of medium lasers in the side torsos because they have a similar range profile. So max range 540, max range 730. So any range where you're going to be using the large pulse laser, the medium lasers can generally hit out there as well. And then as a backup system, it's got some small pulse lasers in the arms. And believe me, you need the arms and the fact that they can actually fully motivate because this mech is, because of how tall this mech is and how high the weapon mounts are. And then lastly, the entire thing is kept cool by 19 heatsinks, 10 in the engine and another 9 situated around the mech. Some in the legs and the rest in the side torso just for a bit of extra padding in there. My comment about the arms though, the small pulse lasers are really a backup weapon, but this is roughly how high a commando is. So yeah, a commando's head is in the pelvic region of the Grasshopper, so read into that how you will, but it also means you can't actually hit a commando that gets up close to you, or anything about that size, because your torso-mounted weapons and things just won't aim down far enough. So you need to unlock your arms, and then the arms can actually fire at whatever's got so close. So that is a slight drawback in the Grasshopper's design. It struggles if something small gets really, really close. It just can't deal with it. I also don't know who the hell designed this mech. It's not a very good design, in my opinion, because of how big it is and how bulky it is. For how heavy it is, I said this about the Black Knight, but the Grasshopper really is, I think, a heavy mech that's trying to pretend to look like an assault mech, and generally not doing a very good job of it, because if you look at it, it's really, really thin. It's like a bean sprout or something. But yeah. Anyway, let's continue before I get too sidetracked. Suggested modules for this mech. Well, it goes without saying, I am going to suggest the radar deprivation to avoid incoming missiles. You are a really big target. You don't want to be eating fire if you can help it. And for the second one, that's a bit of a toss-up, really. I would suggest either a seismic sensor for local awareness or 360 target retention for if you're in the middle of a firefight. Either or. In fact, you could take both, because weapon modules, I would suggest the PPC cooldown and the large pulse laser cooldown. Oh wait, there isn't one. I would suggest the large medium laser range, actually, is probably a good idea, since then you can more accurately match them to your large pulse laser. So yeah, PPC cooldown, medium pulse laser range, and then don't worry about the rest of it, really. So yeah, 3 mech modules, 2 weapon modules. That is actually kind of odd for me, but yeah, weapon grouping, here we go. PPCs on group 1 because, you know, really high up, you want those firing together. And then second weapon grouping is the brawling setup, large pulse, twin mediums. And then backup keys on group 3 and 4, small pulse lasers for anything that gets too close, or if I'm running really hot, which is quite likely because this loadout, despite having so many heat sinks, is not very good on heat management. It's only got a rating of 1, so firing all your weapons all over and over, this mech will melt itself down in short order. It just doesn't have the heat to keep this kind of loadout running. So yeah, that's what I've done with this particular loadout. However, there is another first for me in this particular video, and that is not, well, it's not just related to just taking the Grasshopper out for the first time, and that is this. I feel like I must issue a seizure warning for epileptic fits for this particular video. I don't really know that much about the condition, to be quite honest, and I'm probably messing things up as far as saying it's epileptic. It's probably something else, but there are bright flashes involved. And that is because of my PPCs. I don't know how often it's got to be, or if it's got to be a strobe effect or anything like that. As I said, I'm not that familiar with the condition, but I'm putting that in there right now, before I get into the matches, just in case that's a problem for anyone, because when you fire these PPCs, they white out your screen with their weapon flashes, as in the screen immediately goes white because you effectively blind yourself whenever they fire. It's only for a moment, but it is a flash, and that is why I am issuing that particular warning. So, yeah, I don't know how much of an effect that is, but there it is. These 2 PPCs, they make the screen go white whenever they fire. As in the whole screen, because of their combined weapon flashes, so yeah. I really don't know if that's a problem or not, but just in case, there you go. Warning issued, let's send this thing into some fighting so you can actually see the effects, and we can find out if this design is actually any good or not. Here we go.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Fleet Command, coming in. Capture the target area and engage any hostiles.
Hello, tiny little vulture. Look how small that vulture is compared to me. Never mind that, look at how small the bushwhacker is. Anyway, welcome to Mining Collective on domination mode. So yeah, we've got to capture the point and hold it. And I will begin by mentioning what prompted this particular mech design. I mean, it's at odds really with most of my mech designs, to be quite honest, and I can't even hide behind that. My head's poking over the top of that, so Yeah. So what prompted this design? It's actually in response to a request I received on one of last week's videos. Oh, hello.
Acquired.
And yeah, as you can see, I immediately got lanced by a couple of large lasers. So, and the request was to actually do some eclectic mixing of weapon systems to try and make a nasty package, as the comment described it. Though sadly, there were a couple of practical reasons why I've not really gone with that this weekend. And there was the flash because of the PPCs. As you can see, it's a split second, but it is a flash, definitely, because of the whiting of the screen. I think I hit something as well, which is even better, but still. On the bright side, I can actually walk behind some other mechs and I'll just poke over them like this, so, you know, that's helpful. Anyway, yeah, the request was basically to mix and match lots and lots of different weapon systems together on a given mech design.
New target
And try to do it that way. So I can give you some examples as soon as I'm not actually engaging. Yeah, that's the other problem with the Grasshopper. It's a really, really big target.
Critical.
And yep, there goes my heat, so I'm going to back out and cool off. Right. The comment, which I actually happen to have up beside me for once while I'm cooling off. Yeah. Can you mix AC5, AC10, AC20, machine gun, SRM and LRM into one nasty package? Or particle cannon, large pulse, medium pulse and small pulse? Or large laser, medium laser and small laser? So, ow. The heck? Oh, there's something behind us. Right.
Acquired.
Okay, hello. Yeah, there are a couple of problems with that. So let's go through them one at a time, shall we? First off, this is a problem entirely with me, and that's the fact that I prefer to operate with one, maybe two combat groups at once, and my controls are actually only really capable of 2 and at most 3 different weapon systems. I don't have the controls to do more than that. Can't see any targets really. Oh, hello.
New target acquired.
So yeah, because my mouse is left mouse button, right mouse button, and then it becomes a case of... Ow, ow. Yeah, I'm taking too much damage right now. And something's hitting me. Yeah. Grasshopper, incredibly easy target. Ow.
Pulse laser destroyed.
There goes my large, and my torso's getting gutted. Oh, yeah. And look at this, I'm poking over the top of this thing even. I can't hide at all. Jeez. And then I'm suddenly dead. Okay. But yeah. The first problem is my mouse. I've got buttons 3 and 4 on my thumb, and then I've got left and right mouse buttons. So that's really my control setup.
PPC destroyed.
So yeah, that's the problem. Let's go and find someone to watch. Hello, Mad Dog. Sure, I'll watch you fighting this Kodiak.
Center torso critical.
Oh, this is a splat dog, I think it's called. Lots and lots of SRM6s. And probably killed himself from overheating. Yeah, that's the problem with that design. It heats itself up far too much.
I got 5 left.
Oh dear. But yeah, that's my first problem, control setups. Second problem is, if you're going to be mixing groups, weapons together on the same firing group, you kind of want them to have similar weapon profiles. Like, first one is range. That's why I've got my large pulse paired with my medium lasers, because they have similar ranges, so I can use them together fairly well. And they also have similar cooldowns, but that's just a bonus and completely by accident, so stuff like that. If you've got too many different weapon systems, your weapon ranges are going to be all over the place, and you could be firing with one of the weapons. This assassin's actually really good. He's very mobile and definitely twitchy, so yeah. So yeah, you don't want your weapons groups to be engaging at lots and lots of different ranges, because then you'll just be misusing some of your weapons, basically. You won't be able to use them to maximum effect. So that is something to watch out for in pairing up lots and lots of different weapons. Oops. Yep, thank you. Okay. This assassin's getting really, really active. Wow. He's also the last person alive, so... yeah. And he's dead. Okay. And the third thing is, basically I don't have mechs with good slots for some of these mixes. Like, I was going through all my mechs and... yeah, I don't have any good mechs for trying some of these arrangements anyway, so there is that. There's an extension of the second one, by the way. They've won already, we don't need to know that. 158 damage though, so I did okay, and I got 3 kill assists, so I was helping, but about low to average damage for me on that. Pretty close to average actually, 158, so that's okay-ish. Anyway, the other thing I was mentioning, mixing weapon profiles, is you don't want to mix ballistic profile weapons with laser profile weapons. So you don't want to mix, say, a laser with a PPC or a laser with an autocannon, because if you aim with one, you're probably going to miss with the other because of how they travel to the target. SRMs, it's the same deal. LRMs with lasers are okay because you can lock on with the LRMs. They are guided weapons, but unless you're using clan LRMs, you've got to remember that they've got the minimum range and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a bit tricky to do there. Anyway, enough babbling there. Next match. Here we go.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Fleet command coming in. Capture the target area and engage any hostiles.
As you heard, this is once again Domination, and this time it's Caustic Valley, a map I don't actually see that much. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Anyway, back onto what I was saying. If you managed to follow what I was babbling on about at the end of the last match, congratulations! If not, then don't worry, I'm going to keep on talking anyway, and it's probably going to be just as confusing. Anyway, this particular loadout, as you know, is PPC, large pulse, medium laser, and then small pulse laser. So it's basically the second of the 3 sets requested in the previous, well, on the previous video. So that was pack, large, medium, and small pulse. I've just swapped out the medium pulses for a pair of mediums to better match them to the large pulse. So yeah, that's that. And honestly, this one is fairly viable. It's just the fact that I've actually botched up trying to build the loadout, because I've tried to I've basically repeated the mistakes that I made a fortnight ago when I tried to take a catapult with UACs and large lasers, like 2 different weapon systems, and master of neither of them. In this case I've got my brawling lasers and my particle cannons, and oh, excuse me, oh, my throat was just going rah like that. So basically I've matched things up, and this mech is not ideal in most respects. I would prefer to actually drop a particle cannon for heat sinks, and I think I'm walking into a rock. I can't tell, my cockpit's too high. I can't tell what I'm doing with this mech half the time, to be quite honest with you. Kind of like in real life, because I'm a really tall bugger in real life as well, so there is that. But at least I can actually look down and see where my feet are if I need to, you know? And I think I missed, so hooray. Particle cannons. So honestly, this is based on the medium loadouts, the middle loadouts. If you were just saying the 3 different sizes of pulse lasers, it would have been okay, but throwing in the particle cannons as well, that's not quite as good. Oh, he walked out and got killed immediately.
Target acquired.
Yes, hello there, Stalker. Yep, I can see you peeking there. I'm just poking with my PPC. Focusing on the PPC system, ignoring the brawling setup, and everyone's moving, so I better move as well, otherwise I'm going to get left behind. Ow! And of course they saw me moving because I'm a really big target. Anyway, to be quite honest, I was looking around all my mechs trying to work out what would be a good mech for these things, and that's when I spotted the Grasshopper. This would be good for the energy loadouts, sort of, except for the fact it's a mech I've not really used before, so you know. There is that about it. Oh, I actually got a kill. Honor is satisfied. I am quite happy with that. So yeah, this mech was great for the loadouts. The second loadout you requested, sorry, the third one rather, as in large laser, medium laser, small laser, that is actually a very viable arrangement. All the weapons behave the same, and they target the same. It's a case of you've got 3 weapon systems, so as... oh, hello. I'm gonna overheat here. I can't keep rolling in like this.
Override engaged.
Yeah. So large laser, medium laser, small laser. It's a case of you have 3 weapon systems. So, ow. Yeah. As I said, big target. You don't have the armor to stand up to much. Still, I did a fair bit of damage. I got 2 kills somehow. When did I get the other kill? I don't remember getting a second kill. Oh well. Anyway. Large laser, medium laser, small laser, or large pulse, medium pulse, small pulse. It's a case of, as you close the distance with your target, you can put more of your weapons onto that target. And they're all behaving the same way, so it's like you're increasing the amount of damage you're doing. I need a quieter mech to watch. Oh jeez. Yeah, you're okay. Nope, you're dead, even better. I think we're losing. But yeah, that's a good way to go about it. You've got weapons behaving the same way, and you've got different ranges, so you don't have to try and adjust how you're targeting. And yeah, we're dead, so yeah, there we go. Large laser, medium laser, small laser is a good one. Large pulse, med pulse, small pulse is also okay, though you might as well take the med pulse over the small pulses, or take more small pulses kind of thing in that.
Enemy forces are moments from victory.
Dear. Yeah, that was only going to be 2 matches in this particular game. In this particular video. 113, I actually got 2 outright kills, and I did a fair bit of damage and protection and stuff like that as well, but we basically got walked over at that point. Yeah, that was a pretended bit of a stomp. But anyway, I'm going to keep on talking, because another thing I need to address basically is the first one, which is the AC5, 10, 20 machine gun, SRM, LRM into one package. That is actually a very bad one, and a tricky one to do, because first off, you've picked bulky weapon systems. 20s and 10s, they don't really play well with other things that much.
That is the end of the gameplay segment. If you wish to continue to hear the talking, it continues in today's other video. If not, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the show. See you all some other time.